All right, so we're gonna record this, yeah. We're gonna record a YouTube video live, as they say, right? So anyway, how do I feel about Happy Chaos and Strive currently? So after a day playing him, a little bit of off-stream labbing and whatnot, I do think that character's hard. I think he's difficult. I think he's harder than Jacko. I think he's harder than Zato. I think he's harder than Gold Lewis. And it's primarily because the reticle system is very, I think it's difficult because when you're using gun stance and not concentration stance, when you press 5H or 236S, preferably 5H, when you're trying to do pressure or set things up, you have to have patience and make sure you can pay attention to the reticle, because when you hit the stance, it comes out in a random spot, and it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's good because it makes it not as free. It's bad because that can kind of mess you up in some cases, because when you do actions, it changes the reticle in particular, so you have to do it properly. However, if you have his grenade on them, or is the curse 236P, curse is actually very good. Which I'll speak on the curse very briefly. I think the curse should have a secondary effect, either a poison, meter sap, damage, something. Maybe you can give him life back from his clone, I don't know. But I think that move is really good. I just think it needs a secondary effect, just to make it have some kind of significance other than it making the reticle snap to the opponent a bit faster. Just to give him something extra, because I think the move is really good. Like what it does and what it gives Happy Chaos is very good. I just think it needs one more effect. And yeah, I figured Raven Slow would probably help him out absolutely the most. That was like the very first thing that I said. He needs something like Raven Slow, a poison, something. Because the character is a mixture of like Johnny, Elfelt, and I guess you could say Raven because of the clone stuff, right? Do you think Happy's worth the effort? I think Happy Chaos is very fun. He's just difficult. His neutral's hard. Like, his neutral is hard primarily because the aspect that people thought of him was supposed to be a zoner. And he's more like, to me, he's just Johnny. Like, he has a lot of like big recovery things, and I was saying this the very first minute that I was playing him on streams. Like, all his moves are like negative, da. It's like, well, the fact that you can press H and press H again and completely shut down, you know, somebody like right away is pretty huge if you think about it. Right? People are trying to swing at you, and you're basically frame trapping off of every button you press. Sure, it costs concentration in a bullet, but the fact that you have a way to stop them and make them respect you is really good. So when you get the initial like 5H, you hear the sound effect, wait for the reticle, pop them. You know, so they can't just press. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that he's one of the few characters who can do, in my honest opinion, he has full Gatlings, like an actual Guilty Gear, like an old Guilty Gear character. Because you can do 2P plus H, like 2P, H to load the gun in your hand, and then H again, and then do like close slash again. You know, to like set people up off pressure and frame trap. Like, his pressure game is actually really good. The issue is getting to that point. So I feel like with Happy Chaos, your evasion, I think, is pushed pretty heavily with him. I think you have to know how to evade people. I think also a lot of people, and I get it. I'm gonna probably take some flack for this, but I don't care. I think this is the truth. I think there's gonna be mad people who are gonna pick him up, and the same mad people picking him up, or the same mad people gonna drop it, because they're gonna recognize how difficult his neutral is and then just leave. You know? There's gonna be those who are gonna stick it out with them because they can see the potential in the character. I think there's hella potential in the character, not gonna lie. No character in Strive right now is bad. but I think his difficulty factor is going to turn a lot of people off. It's like mad people like Zato and like Jacko, but they don't stick with them because they're like, this is hard. So they go play Soul or something else, or Leo. Players focusing on the mix, that's not surprising. Anytime a new character comes out, the only thing people care about is mix up. They don't look at neutral. They'll like, there's two things that happen when a character comes out: mix up and like combos. And most of the Twitter combos, sorry Twitter fam, I see these Twitter combos with close slash starters. I'm just like, that character is not gonna get a close slash starter unless it's a knockdown or they do something stupid. It's like looking for Jacko close slash starters. It's not happening. Like Jacko close slash starters are like, it's not that they're not probable. They're probable only when they do something stupid. Like, and it needs to be like a big punish. Otherwise, you're not getting a close slash starter, like at all. At all. I'm sorry. So if you're out here tweeting out Twitter clips of close slash starters, please make sure you label it, this is a punish. Because saying optimal B&B is kind of nonsensical unless you put off a punish. Just being real. No offense to anyone putting on Twitter combos, it's just, you need to make sure you're putting, this is what you get from a punish, and not get super hyped for 200 damage. Essentially, it should be implied that this is for a punish. But like, you have to remember there's a lot of new people looking at this stuff. And if they see that this is quote unquote optimal starter, they're gonna be rushing in at people trying to get quote unquote optimal starter, and that's just not feasible. What's the day -1 mix? Yeah. So it is what it is. But I think he has the tools necessary to win. I think he's just gonna have some pretty hard matchups. However, I think that his ability to outplay is there pretty heavy. I think there's a couple other things he's lacking. I think he needs maybe one more anti-air. But based on his air normals, so jump P and jump K, they're straight on. So it seems he's meant to air. Like, he's not gonna get a grounded anti-air that's super amazing. His 6P is really good. I would say the thing about him that's really good, like, and just to quickly compare him and Jacko, since they just came out, he gets more bang for his buck off of anti-airs. Like, he can put you in a bad spot. Like, for example, I feel like when it comes to advantages, right? Just using Jacko as an example. Jacko gets positional advantages when she gets a lot of her hits in. Whereas Happy Chaos, he gets his hits, damage, and it looks like he can get a potential decent setup. Or like, instead of getting just positional advantage, he gets damage. Kind of like Go Lewis. I feel like Go Lewis kind of sort of gets both, but he's just at a slower pace. Right, he gets pressure, but I'm kind of veering off here. The bottom line here is this: Happy Chaos has, roughly speaking, the tools to win. It's gonna take a good pilot, like a good pilot. I don't think this character is 100% not pick up and play. In fact, it's quite interesting seeing the amount of Happy Chaos players they won in comparison to Jacko players they won. In fact, week 1 Jacko players, I feel like mad people drop Jacko like that. And I think it's because they recognize the difficulty of the character, so they're like, waifu's cool, but too hard. And to be honest, quite frank, it's kind of interesting to me. I think outright Jacko's way easier than Happy Chaos, way easier. But that's probably because I understand how to play her. And yeah, Happy Chaos is a little bit more hype. It's because he's edgy, man. That's all. He's the edgy character. But I mean, for good reason. I mean, he's a cool character, right? But I guess not to make this too long, to round it out, I think outright he's got solid normals. He's got good air-to-airs. His anti-air game is... I need to see more. I'm not gonna say it's bad. I just need to see more. I need to experiment more. Damage output solid. Neutral is difficult. His evasion, I think, again, his evasion, you gotta have that. You have to have good movement to play him, I think. Other than that, he seems good. Just without a good pilot, I don't see him pushing forward. He'll have a lot of crazy tech, but someone has to pilot him correctly to utilize that tech. Period. So it doesn't matter how much Twitter tech there is, if no one can execute all that shit, he's just gonna be like a good character without a good pilot. You know? Yeah, I agree. New players, the last 3 DLC characters in Strive have been technical characters, and the base roster has been way easier. Like, and that's always the case nowadays, right? With these games, they try to make the base roster easy to get into, and the DLC characters tend to be a lot harder. All 3 DLC characters all have a brand new subsystem catered to just them. Because if you think about it, those 3 characters, I would say Gold Lewis probably needs meter a little bit more than the other 2 from what I've seen, and especially playing Jacko, I know Jacko doesn't truly need meter. Like, the minions do a lot of work for her anyway. And Happy Chaos is the same thing, you know? Like, since they have interesting subsystems, it lets them do damage without requiring Roman cancel. They can utilize other things. Like Happy Chaos's blue RC tech, from what I've seen already, like that character's gonna have a lot of blue RC combos, and he already has some pretty burst safe stuff from what I've tested and what I've seen also perusing the internet. So he has stuff, it's just who's gonna do it, you know? So it's yeah, Gold Lewis is straightforward, but what I'm saying is, like, I feel like Gold Lewis doesn't really need RC. In the beginning, he didn't really need it. Now he does need it, but just to keep up his pressure, because that's part of his game, to keep guard breaking you. But like, to really dish out damage, he doesn't need it. He just needs meter to maintain, like, to maintain his positioning. I don't see him needing meter outside of that, and that kind of goes to show with like Gobu. Like, it was just like single hit confirms, easy 3-piece confirms, and just keeping up pressure with RC. Yeah. Other than that, I'm not gonna lie, I think it's a good character. We just have to wait and see what people come up with him, and who can do it. It's to me, it's not even just about what people come up with, it's who can do it, and who can do it effectively, right? So we'll see that down the line. So Johnny Felt, that's how I feel about him. Johnny Felt feels like Johnny and L Felt in one character. So yeah, that's my quick and dirty on Happy Chaos. Obviously this was recorded on Twitch, but those of you watching on YouTube, let me know how you feel about this character in the comments below. I'm gonna get up out of here on this. Deuces gooses.